Growing up with toxic narcissists will steal your childhood. And I'm saying this now as an adult who now has her own family. I realize how much of my childhood has been stolen by growing up with toxic people and with narcissists. And this has got nothing to do with access to resources or being fed as a child. Hi, I'm Dee and welcome back to my channel. I realized that growing up with toxic people has stolen away my childhood. Now that I have my own family, I look at my kids, how they are thriving. My kids are thriving in their studies. They are thriving in their extramural activities because of the love and support that they receive. And I want to put a disclaimer. This has got absolutely nothing to do with money or access to resources. I am talking about this from a sense of how we support them, how we make sure that their dreams are achieved, even by small things. I'm going to give you an example. When I was younger, as a child, I had such low self-esteem. I had the lowest self-esteem. And when I look back, I'm asking myself, I was not the candidate to have the lowest self-esteem. I was not bad looking. I didn't have a bad body. I was highly intelligent as a child. I was a good child. I treated people with love and respect. But I had zero self-esteem. Even when it comes to sports, I could not participate fully in sports because of the lack of self-esteem that I had. But I should have, because I was good. The few times that I would play sports, the few times that I would participate in sporting activities at school, I was good. Even when we were playing with other kids on the few occasions that we were allowed to play. And that's another angle about this. There were a few occasions that we were allowed to play with other kids in the neighborhood. And the only time you could play fully was when you were at school because you are away from my mother. The few occasions that I could play, I excelled. I was good. And you know, in those games where you have to choose a partner, people will always run to choose me. But my low self-esteem will always keep me at the back. And the low self-esteem comes from the consistent belittling, demeaning that I received from my mother. Those mainly did not come from my father. My father was passive and sometimes passive-aggressive. And yes, here and there, you know, when we were growing up, parents would just throw in an insult here and there, but no, it was not. That's not my father's character. My mother, I was belittled. Every little thing about myself was belittled. And it's not just me, all of her kids, all of the people around her, not just the kids. My mother revels in negativity, in saying negative things about people. You're good looking, my mother will tell you you're ugly. You're intelligent, my mother will tell you you're stupid. You are good at something, my mother will tell you you're bad at it. And if people praise you, that was the worst. You will regret getting praise in front of her from other people. If anyone comes and praises you, you will regret getting that. My mother will make sure that you regret it. She will undo it within seconds. Within seconds, she will undo it. If people say how good you are, she will undo it that very moment. But if the goodness is tied to her and how good she is, oh, she will take it in. She will take it in and talk about how good she is and how well she has done. But if your goodness is tied to exactly who you are as a human being and how hard you have worked and attributed to just you and you only, she will never allow that to happen. She will make sure that she undoes all of that. And now that I'm older and I look at my kids, I realized that I did not have a childhood because of my parents. I left home at the age of 19. I left home at the age of 19 to go to college. And can I tell you that I still remember the first day I was in college. This is, however, 20-something years later. I still remember the first day away from my parents when I was at college and how for the first time I realized what the sun looks like. I had a good look at the sun and it felt great. And I remember laughing that day. I remember laughing so hard that my stomach was hurting. I was with other girls. We were laughing. We were joking. They were telling us about where they come from. And I remember being so happy. But being used to being demeaned, shouted, screamed at, that becomes short-lived because you switch back to default setting where you now are scared that somebody's going to shout at you. And every time I would always hear my mother screaming and shouting, even though she was not there. It became so normal. For the first 10 years or so after I had left home, even when I was not at home, I would just hear my mother screaming. When my mother calls your name, she screams your name. She will never, she was not able to call you calmly. I don't know how she sounds when she's calm. I only know what I said with other videos back that the only emotion I know from my mother is sadness, depression, and anger. That's the only emotion I know. So she's not able to calmly call a person. Even when there was nothing going on, she would never call you calmly. She would call you with an anger and scream. So I remember that. And now that I look at my kids, I'm like, a child should not always be on survival mode. I was a child that was always on survival mode. Let me get back to playing outside. I was not allowed to play outside. We grew up in a time where kids played outside. I grew up in a time where there were no tablets, there were no cell phones, there were no such a thing. So kids woke up in the morning and went outside to play. My sister and my brother, we were not allowed to do that because my mother did not get along with the neighbors. So she did not allow us to go outside and play. So we were stuck inside the house. Fortunately, she used to love buying us books. So I spent most of my time just reading. So I was never allowed to play. So during school holidays, we never even had relationships with other people. So we never even visited relatives. We never visited anyone. We had nobody to visit. And nobody visited us because of my mother. So we were always indoors, and my solace was always in my books. I think that's how I started being book smart, because I read a lot. Every single day I would spend hours and hours reading, and that was also my escape. I used books as my escape because I would get into this world with the books that I would just imagine myself being those characters. And those characters are the things that made me want to excel in my studies, because I would read up about different women who had professions, who were doing well. And what was important about those women is that they were very happy. And I thought if I became like these people, I would also be happy. And it opened up a new world to me. So being a child, not playing outside, not being allowed to have friends outside of the friends that you had at school, not being able to engage outside of school, took away my childhood. I was never, let me also get about trigger warning. I'm going to talk about physical abuse, not intimate abuse, but physical abuse. This is a trigger warning. If you don't want to listen to that, please skip. I was physically abused. My mother was physically abusive. You would get a slap for doing nothing. I remember a time where my mother, and mind you, I was one of those good kids. I lived to please my mother. I want to put a disclaimer. I lived to please my mother. I was so conscious of myself, the things that I did as a child, that it was abnormal. I think about it now, I know it was abnormal. Like I said, I lived to please my mother. So trust me when I tell you that it was on rare occasions that I would do something bad that my mother deemed bad. I was a good child. I woke up first thing in the morning and made sure that my house was clean inside and outside, even things that people did not clean. Our neighborhood, they used to know that I would clean even things that other people did not clean. Outside, our outside was the best looking and best cleaned place. There were never dishes on the sink in my house. My mother is OCD about her cleanliness. That's another thing about people who are toxic narcissists. There is just some correlation, and I'm not talking about this. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not sure. But for me, it seems like there's a correlation. My house was so clean that you would be scared to even sit. You would feel like you are the dirty one and the house is too clean. Even when you went to the bathroom, you would feel like the bathroom is too clean for you to sit in. So I used to make sure that everything was done right. Our bedroom, everything was always spick and span. I remember she once, out of nowhere, she screamed my name and held me up and started punching me. She started punching me and throwing me to the floor. I was shocked and I started apologizing. You would always, that would always be my first. I apologize and I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry, Mama. I had done nothing. I had done nothing. She started screaming and shouting and punching me, and she punched me good and well up until she received her own relief. You know, when you look at a person and you see that now they are satisfied that what they have relieved themselves, up until she relieved herself from punching me, and then she started feeling better, and then she left me, and I would just apologize and run to my bedroom, and you were also not allowed to cry. So I would run to my bedroom, wipe myself, and go back to doing my chores. I would cry silently at night in my bedroom. I actually shared that bedroom with my sister. So I was always a conscious child. So I would wake up in the morning, even with that, I would wake up in the morning and still do the right things. I made sure that I cooked, I cleaned, I made sure that everything was perfect, and I was studying. And I always used to make sure that she sees me, that I'm studying, that I'm reading a book. And that was how I felt like I can regulate her emotions as a child. Me and what I wanted and what I felt like doing, even after I had done, I accept that as a child you have to learn your responsibilities and do your chores. Even if I had done my chores, it would always be about her. I would never just sit and go outside and play. I never had that, and I realized that those are the things that steal away a child's innocence. I was never abused in other ways, but I feel like that steals your child's innocence, because if you don't allow, a child is supposed to explore through play. A child is supposed to explore through play. Yes, you're supposed to make sure that they are safe while they're playing and nobody takes advantage of them. But if you don't allow them to explore through play, that is stealing a child's innocence, to an extent that now, even as an adult, I'm still struggling to freely play. When we are on holiday, when I'm outside, I play with my kids, but I'm always somehow conscious about it because I'm not used to it. I'm not used to be free. We go on holiday, we go to a beach. My husband will spend hours in the water and doing all these activities. I will do them just for a while. Yes, there's an element of fatigue because I'm a mom, I'm working, I'm all of that, and I take my holidays at the time to rest. But I realize that I am not used to playing for hours and hours on end. And even now, I'm middle-aged and I'm about to be old age. I don't play hours and hours on end because I think I struggle with that and I'm not able to engage in that way for hours and hours on end. And those are the things that took away my innocence as a child. And I felt like I became an adult at a very young age. So when you are raised by a toxic narcissist, make sure that you allow your kids to be innocent and to play freely without being conscious. And I hope that we all achieve that for our kids. And my kids, I believe that I'm able to provide that kind of environment for them, and they enjoy their childhood because of that. So I want to say to those of us who were raised by narcissists and toxic people, it's okay, we will be fine, but let's allow our kids to be kids.